The room was silent, save for the distant murmur of the news anchor's voice. Samantha Gemita sat in her spacious living room, her hands trembling as she clutched her phone. The headlines blared on every screen, a relentless drumbeat of shame pounding against the walls of her 12-year marriage. Baltazar Gemita embroiled in scandal, betrayal, corruption, and shattered trust. Her husband, her partner, the father of her 6 children, was now the center of a storm that threatened to tear apart everything they had built. Samantha had always known Baltazar wasn't perfect, but this was a betrayal of their vows, of the trust that held their family together. The scandal unfolds. Baltazar had been a man of ambition. From a humble beginning, he climbed to prominence with charm and vision. Samantha had stood beside him every step of the way. When he worked late into the night, she managed the chaos of their home. When he faced criticism, she defended him with unwavering loyalty. But the latest allegations were different. This wasn't about politics or rivals. This was personal. Samantha read the accusations again. Secret accounts, hidden affairs, and a web of lies spun with cold precision. Her heart sank. Every memory she cherished felt tainted. Was the man she married real, or had she been living a lie all along? For better or worse? Samantha's mind raced back to the day they exchanged vows. For better or worse? In sickness and in health? For richer or poorer? Those words had bound them in love and hope. But this was the worst they hadn't prepared for. Her mother's voice echoed in her mind. A wife's duty is to endure, to hold the family together. But Samantha's own heart whispered a different truth. Endurance should never come at the cost of dignity. A mother's struggle. As a mother of 6, Samantha's greatest fear wasn't her broken heart. It was the fallout for her children, the whispers at school, the judgment from neighbors, the looming shadow of their father's actions. Her eldest, Isabel, had already asked, "Mom, is Dad coming home tonight? Are we still a family?" The question pierced her like a blade. How could she answer when she didn't know herself? The confrontation. That evening, Baltazar walked through the door, his face etched with fatigue and guilt. Samantha stood in the kitchen, waiting. She had rehearsed this moment 1,000 times in her head. "Is it true?" she asked, her voice steady despite the storm within her. Baltazar met her gaze but said nothing. His silence was louder than any confession. "I gave you everything," Samantha said, her voice breaking. "Our home, our family, my trust. Was any of it real?" His response was a mixture of excuses and apologies, but Samantha had heard enough. This wasn't just about him. It was about her, about what she deserved, about the example she wanted to set for her children. The crossroads. That night, as Baltazar slept in the guest room, Samantha sat alone, staring at her wedding ring. The weight of her decision pressed down on her chest. Divorce was a word that felt foreign, almost forbidden, but staying felt like a betrayal of herself. She prayed, not for answers, but for strength, for clarity, for a way forward that didn't destroy her children or her soul. The reckoning. By morning, Samantha knew what she had to do. She called a family meeting. With her children gathered around, she spoke with a calm she didn't know she possessed. "Your father made mistakes," she began, choosing her words carefully. "But this family is not broken. We are stronger than this. I am stronger than this." Later, she handed Baltazar a letter. It wasn't a goodbye, but it wasn't a reconciliation either. It was a challenge, a demand for him to rebuild what he had broken, not just with her, but with their children. "I will not stay silent for the sake of appearances," she wrote. "If you want this family, fight for it, earn it. But if you can't, I will walk away with my head held high." A legacy. In the weeks that followed, the scandal continued to unravel, but so did Baltazar's arrogance. Samantha's strength became a beacon, not just for her children, but for the countless women who saw her story in the headlines. Whether she stayed or left, one thing was certain: Samantha Gemita would no longer be defined by her husband's choices. She was reclaiming her name, her voice, and her future. And as the world debated Baltazar's downfall, Samantha stood unbroken, proving that sometimes the most dramatic story isn't the scandal itself, but the woman who rises from its ashes.